Pokemon headcanons, they're back. They're really back. It's been a while, guys, hasn't it? I think we're on headcanons 10 or something now. I don't even know. I don't think I gotta explain what a headcanon is anymore. You guys got it, right? Right? Yeah, you do. I know you do. And remember, if you want your headcanon to be in a future video, drop it in the comments and make sure you're subscribed. Or else. Anyways, let's jump right in. I don't care. Let's do it. Bad Pun says, I feel like Go plays an unhealthy amount of first-person shooters in his free time. Honestly, I can kind of see him doing that. I don't know if he'd be more into like Titanfall or like Call of Duty or what exactly. Maybe Warzone. I don't know. But I can imagine him being the little kid you always find in a Call of Duty lobby, just screaming for his life. I don't know why I think Go would play specifically Titanfall 2. He just seems like the type of guy who would play that game. That game was fun. I don't know if he'd play Call of Duty Zombies though, because I feel like he'd get freaked out. Verdant Range says, I've got a few headcanons I'd like to share. 1. The reason Ash never went back to get the GS ball is because both he and Professor Oak forgot, and Kurt doesn't have Professor Oak or Ash's number to call them. 2. The Arceus that trainers catch is not a real Arceus, but an avatar it made for itself so it can hang out and battle with mortals. 3. The Giant Woman movies at Pokestar Studios were written by a screenwriter that heard about Dynamaxing from Galar without doing a lot of research. 4. Some Pokemon from the past, like fossil Pokemon or the Hisui Pokemon, show up in modern times thanks to Celebi drinking fermented berry juice and thinking it'd be funny to pluck them out of time. 4. Wickstrom liked to play around with swords made from discarded Skarmory feathers while either watching Highlander or listening to Princes of the Universe by Queen. Either way, Highlander's his favorite movie. 6. Several students at the academy mistakenly believe that Penny is a robot and she has to assure them, I am a normal meat person, just like you. Kurt not having Ash or Professor Oak's number is kind of sad but funny at the same time. Like, Ash went on this whole adventure just to deliver this thing to him, and the guy didn't even ask for his phone number or anything. He could have made the discovery of the century, and he couldn't even call Professor Oak to tell him about it. I do wish we eventually got like some sort of confirmation in the anime, or like at least a retcon, because I know they were supposed to have the Celebi in there, and then they made it the movie, and it's a whole mess. But it would have been nice to have some sort of anime closure. Maybe just like a relic. I don't know. Something's better than nothing. I like the one about Arceus having an avatar it made for itself. I also like the idea that Arceus is like supposed to look like a hand, kind of like a hand of God. Because like if you look at it, it does look like a hand if you get rid of the head. And Eternatus kind of looks like a hand too, so maybe that's like a corrupted hand of God. I don't know. I just think it's a cool idea that this is the way the Pokemon God interacts with the world, with this little hand it made. The Pokestar Studios Giant Woman being just one huge misunderstanding is hilarious. I love it. I just imagine some guy writing the script, hearing something about, I don't know, people get big in Galar, I guess, and then just writing it in, and then people are watching the movie like, what is this? This is a Dynamaxing. What's going on? Poor writer's just like, I don't know. This is just what I heard. Okay, I didn't do much research. I'm sorry. To be fair, I do think wasn't Dynamaxing a relatively new thing? I don't think it was. Maybe I'm just misremembering. Just thinking it's funny to pluck them out of time. That's so messed up, but I mess with it. I like it. I just imagine them frolicking in like a prehistoric world. One day they just get teleported and hit by a car just because Celebi's like, I don't know, felt like it, I guess. And it does explain a lot, because I always thought it was weird that you could get Hisuian Pokemon in the modern games, even though they're like supposed to be prehistoric. I guess the fossils kind of make sense because they're brought back to life, but I think Celebi just drink. Is that supposed to be wine? Wait, hold on. Fermented berry juice. Wait a minute. I don't know. I don't drink, so I don't know too much about alcohol, but I think that's supposed to be wine. Celebi, what the hell, dude? Why are you drinking? This poor little onion fairy's not supposed to be doing that. You think this thing's old enough? Wickstrom playing around with these discarded Skarmory feathers is kind of funny. It reminds me when I guess I was a kid, I would just pick up random sticks off the ground and pretend they're swords. I'm sure a lot of other kids did that too. Then you just find that perfect stick that makes the it was awesome, okay? You just had to be there. I'm assuming this is when Wickstrom was a kid. I don't know what's funnier, just like a little Wickstrom as a kid playing around with these, or like a full-grown man just going up, taking these feathers and like, look, I got a sword, you guys. What's even funny, he's a literal knight. He should have his own swords. What is he doing? I don't know Princes of the Universe by Queen. Maybe you've heard it before. I do a very bad job at remembering song titles, but I've most likely heard it at some point, somewhere. I also don't know what Highlander... Let me Google this. Hold on. Maybe I do know. Highlander movie. I've never seen this before in my entire life, but Wickstrom would for sure like this. 24% on Metacritic? What the hell? Why is it all across the board? 69% on Rotten Tomatoes and 7 out of 10 IMDb. 86% of people like this movie. What? Tell me in the comments, guys, which one's right? I also really like the one with the students at the academy thinking Penny's just like a weird, like freakish person. They don't even believe she's human. They believe she's a robot. Her saying I'm a normal meat person just like you is funny. I imagine she's perpetuating the rumor, but also it reminds me of that really creepy video where like I am a real person, where like robots aren't allowed to say I'm not a robot. I'm sure Penny would have a field day with this rumor though. Maybe she'd bring a screwdriver in her pocket and start fake unscrewing her wrist or something. I don't know. Facey says, Eevee has an extra evolution that you can't evolve into because it uses an Everstone. I feel like we should already have a normal type evolution. It's such a missed opportunity. I would really like to see just a bigger, fluffier Eevee. Maybe it turns even cooler. I don't know, because a lot of normal types do have really cool designs. But it having an Everstone would sort of make sense, but at the same time it wouldn't. Because the whole thing about Eevee is that it has like this really unstable DNA. And so its DNA is really malleable and able to morph into like its surroundings and stuff, right? So maybe it having an Everstone would sort of equalize it and make sure it doesn't freak out and start mutating. But at the same time, the Everstone stops evolution. I just want a normal type evolution. That's what I want, okay? Let Grubs Cook says, headcanons. Giovanni is actually a really good boss and takes his grunts out to Applebee's sometimes. Hao and Barry are longtime pen pals and are currently arranging to meet up somewhere in between their two regions. Also, Archie likes One Piece unironically. Don't at me, guys. Imagine going to Applebee's. You go in, you see a mob boss with all his grunts just there. What do you do? Ironically, I feel like they'd all be on their really like best behavior. They wouldn't be causing too much of a ruckus. I feel like Jesse and James are really the only oddballs of the group. I don't even know how they still have their jobs. But hey, good on Giovanni. He's ironically better than most bosses out there in the world. I wonder what he ordered. I can imagine. No, never mind. I know exactly what this guy orders. He orders like a steak and mashed potatoes. Something an old man would eat. Hao and Barry being pen pals, I can see it, but also I can't. I can't imagine Barry taking the time out of his day to like sit down and write. Maybe they're like, their letters are really short. They're like, yo, what's up? I just got this. Okay, bye. Or maybe they, maybe they just, I don't know. I really don't know what the hell they would say to each other. I would just talk about malasada. It's like, I just ate this good malasada. I loved it. It was awesome. Where are the in between of their two regions be though? Let me math this. Hold on. I want to say Galar. I don't know if that geographically makes sense because Kanto is next to Johto and Johto. No, maybe it would be Johto or Kanto actually. Because Johto is underneath Sinnoh and Alola is like somewhere down south, right? Like near the equator. Yeah. I think Kanto. That means they could see Lillie there. Even though Barry would be like, who is this girl? Archie liking One Piece, I can see it. I imagine all the Team Aqua grunts get together to watch One Piece. I need to catch up on the manga. I like stopped reading for a few chapters, let them pile up, then catch right back up. I gotta do that soon. Nova the Insane says, I don't know if anyone said this, but one of my headcanons is that Mallow just knows all her friends' favorite foods, and whenever they're sad, she'll make it for them to cheer them up. What a good friend. What an absolute champion Mallow is. Imagine having a rough day, then coming home, you get like your favorite food right there, just sitting there. And Mallow's a good chef, so you already know it's gonna be twice as good. She's just the goat like that. She's got it. My favorite food is ice cream. Maybe we should make it from scratch. I don't know. I had this really good ice cream at school one time. We made it. I forgot. I think we made it with like dry ice or something. I don't know. But it was the best ice cream I had. So I imagine that, but like twice as good from Mallow. Duelist Dooligos says, a couple of my headcanons. Larry has a beautiful singing voice, but it's only brought out on karaoke nights at the Treasure Eatery. Watson is Iono's grandpa. He doesn't fully understand the streamer thing, but he still supports her wholeheartedly. Steven rides around on his Metagross whenever he goes somewhere. Steven and Briar nerd out about rocks together. Kofu gives the best hugs. I don't know why, but the first thing I thought of was Larry singing like opera style, and I can't see him doing anything else. That or maybe he could sing like a great bass line in a song or something, because no way he doesn't have a super deep voice. Maybe Larry can rap. I don't know. I can see Watson being related to Iono. I love the idea that he has no idea what a streamer even is, but he's just like cool with it. I imagine he occasionally sees random clips of Iono just doing whatever shenanigans she does on live streams and brings them up at the Thanksgiving dinner table. He's like, remember that time Iono strapped rockets to her belly bolt plush? And everyone just looks at him like, what the hell is grandpa talking about? But Iono knows. Metagross being used as a mode of transportation is just so cool. I can imagine Steven doesn't even sit down. He just stands on it for maximum aura with his arms crossed. I didn't know who Briar was. I still need to go to Blueberry Academy. But I'm glad Steven now has a new rock friend, potentially, probably, I think. I'm not gonna lie, I forgot Kofu even existed, but I can see it. It looks kind of strong though, I think it would hurt. Ekurain says, I'm not that great with making headcanons because I'm afraid I'm so absorbed into my own headcanons that I'll forget canon exists. I feel like Penny would be the type to love pet raising games, and I want to think that Nimona would like to play those RPG/strategy/competitive/multiplayer games, but has no time for it. She's just like me, for real. Oh yeah, and Steven and Cynthia hang out together every Saturday to info dump exchange. I don't know why, I just find that funny and entertaining. Penny would for sure love pet raising games, like Wobble Dogs, especially considering that Eevees are known for having unstable DNA just like the dogs in Wobble Dogs. It just makes too much sense. I can also see her just liking Nintendogs though. I can also see Nimona being competitive, and I don't know why, but I can just see her playing Fortnite. It just seems like a Nimona type of thing to do. Cynthia and Steven's conversations would probably go on for hours. I think they'd both find what each other have to say to be intriguing. Like maybe Cynthia's like, oh yeah, I was looking at these ruins and there was this rock, and Steven's like, rock? Did somebody say rock? Oh god. Al Jose de la Cruz says, headcanon for Red. Red only talks to just mess around with people. Blue and Leaf knows Red can talk, well, in Masters at least, but they join in by gaslighting people that they were just hearing things or something like that. I love Blue and Green gaslighting people just to keep the bit going. I just imagine Red saying something, people are like, what? Did he just talk? And Blue and Leaf are just like, no, what are you talking about? Red doesn't talk. That's like his whole thing. Go home, you're going crazy. And once they leave, they probably just giggle to themselves or something. Tsunami says, I've got some headcanons. Adaman got a typewriter from the Galaxy team. After that, every little thing he writes is on the typewriter because it's faster and time efficient. But one day, he realized he forgot how to write with a pen. Ironically, Arita would have the most capricious and elegant handwriting and teases Adaman about it. I think I said that right. Capricious? All protagonists are unhinged in a cute way. Their true goal is to go home once they've done everything in the region. Nothing seems to surprise them, even if literal gods appear in front of them. The only thought behind their eyes is, oh look, it's God. Let me catch them real quick so I can beat the league and go home immediately after. In the manga, Leaf works for the International Police. For that reason, I think she would avoid battling Red and Blue, or goes easy on them so she keeps her identity hidden. Her original mission was to get info on Giovanni, but needed the badges to challenge him. In the end, she decided to keep an eye on the two because she thought they were funny. So in Alola, she came with Looker and Annabelle, but was hidden. She thought it'd be funnier to watch a 10-year-old beat them up, rather than her going there and beating them herself. When the player in PLA makes some kind of food for their Pokemon, I think they would try it out for themselves before offering it to their team. This confuses everyone that sees them do this. Kalaba was convinced that they would die sooner than most because of that. Marnie would definitely make punk friendship bracelets, like full of spikes and made with leather. Colors would vary from person to person. I can relate to this one because it's been so long since I picked up a pencil. Even in my last few years of high school, almost every assignment was on a Chromebook. Holding a pencil feels weird now. At least a little bump on my finger's gone. I wonder just what Adaman writes about though. Maybe he's like into poetry. Maybe he writes stories, or hell, maybe it's like a little journal he keeps. Like, today I saw a rock dog. I think. I can definitely see Arita having elegant handwriting. She just has those vibes and would 100% tease Adaman about it. I think the idea of the protagonist just wanting to go home is pretty funny. They take down criminal organizations not because it's the right thing to do, but because they just want to get it over with and go lay down in bed or something. At that point, I wonder why they even bother leaving in the first place. Maybe they just consider it a chore. Honestly, I can't even blame Calibo for being concerned. In the anime, we sometimes see people eat straight up Pokemon food, but it just looks like dog kibble pretty much. And sometimes Ash tries it and he says it tastes horrible. I think this is just the equivalent of eating dog food. But I mean, someone's gotta taste it and see if it truly does taste like steak, right? Realistically though, there's no way that could be good for your health. In more recent games though, they usually have like pretty delicious looking food you can feed to your Pokemon, so I would eat it. I don't even blame them. Like, look at the curry in Galar. It looks amazing. The idea of something as cute as friendship bracelets looking like the most metal thing ever is awesome. I love it. She even goes through the effort to change the color just so it matches her friend. Even though I feel like she doesn't even have to do that. Black goes with pretty much anything. Irohaniju. That one says, I have one. Lillie on her free time learn how to make stuffed animals and some dolls of animals because she thinks it's cute. I can see Lillie making stuffed animals, or I guess in this case, Poké dolls. I'd imagine they aren't perfect. Like, you can see some of the stitching here and there, and there's an occasional stray string, but she tried her best and loves them all regardless. Fred's Dimension says, headcanon videos are how I discover this channel. They're wonderful to put on while at my job, so here are a few of my own, in hopes I hear them at work. Hope you're having fun at work, bud. Elisa likes really exotic coffee. Devon Corp and Selfco also have fan bases that go at each other like Apple and Microsoft, and out there on the internet are a lot of debates as to whose products are better. There are folks who track Ghost Girl sightings across the different regions. Sophocles is a retro gamer in his spare time and mods vintage consoles. Elisa 100% is a coffee connoisseur. Maybe she's tasted so many she can just tell exactly where the coffee beans came from. Maybe she's like, oh wow, these came straight from Pokepelago. Then Mon is just there, he's like, yeah, I did that. For Devincourt versus Selfco, I'm surprised you said Microsoft instead of Android. I don't even know anyone with a Microsoft phone. I do like this headcanon though. I feel like there's brand elitists everywhere, so the Pokemon world would be no exception. Tracking ghosts across different regions sounds so cool. This just popped into my head, but imagine a ghost hunting series in the Pokemon world. Like in our world, they just find them, record, like, oh, what was that? And then they turn around all dramatically. But I imagine in the Pokemon world, they have to actually go and battle them, probably exorcise them, or hell, maybe even capture them to help rid other places of ghosts. I love ghost types, so if no one's doing this, I'd take up the mantle. Sophocles probably thinks gaming peaked with the N64 or SNES or something. Maybe he thinks games now are just doing too much. Who knows? I feel like he'd also play a lot of ROM hacks. It's like the classics he adores, but with a new twist. Juggernaut Boy says, my headcanon is that Nessa and Melanie, the water and ice type gym leaders from Galar, get together once a week for ice baths. I also think that Larry and Poppy have some sort of father-daughter relationship, and Larry takes her to go get ice cream when she loses a battle. I think along with Nessa and Melanie, Bee would probably join in too, because she has her whole intense training thing going on, and ice baths would probably benefit her a ton. I don't know how people take those, but they seem rather cool, I guess. I love the idea of Larry and Poppy going for ice cream whenever she loses. He's just like, cheer up, kiddo, and just gives her ice cream. Not sure why. I feel like Larry likes chocolate mint ice cream, and maybe Poppy likes strawberry. I just feel like it fits. Jay's World says, my headcanon is that the Rotom phone was invented in Sinnoh after the fall of Team Galactic. The Rotom scientists went to work at the Poketch company and developed the Rotom phone. I like this one a lot. Maybe instead of Silphco being Microsoft in that last headcanon, Poketch can be Microsoft and Rotom is like their Cortana. All that research they did eventually had to lead somewhere, so it ultimately benefiting the world despite it being done to destroy it potentially is a nice redemption for those scientists. Samson Smartfridge says, my headcanon is that Peony visits Rose in jail every once in a while, just being a good, older, younger brother. This reminds me of something and I just don't know what, but I can imagine Peony's going like, hey, you still evil? And Rose is like, I was never evil! And Peony's like, oh, I guess that's a yes. Then he just goes home. And okay, I looked it up. Peony's the younger brother. Cool. Goji Block says, I got a couple of headcanons from my 3 favorite villains. 1. Archie likes to dig up things in the sand in his spare time, like coins and shells. 2. Maxie gets cold easily, so he mega evolves his camera up just to snuggle with him. 3. Guzma has his Golisopod carry him when he's feeling especially lazy. I can imagine Archie tells his Aqua Grunts to go bury stuff in the sand for him to go find. Maybe they even write riddles for him and give him like little treasure maps. It's like his own Easter egg hunt. And maybe if he's not too greedy, he can let the other Aqua Grunts partake in this little event. I don't think Maxie's gonna be okay after cuddling with a mega Camerupt. One wrong turn and he's gonna be covered with lava. I mean, to be fair, he won't be cold anymore, so mission accomplished? I think he got bigger problems to be worrying about now. Guzma is 100% lazy enough to do this. I can see it already. He just asked him to go lay him on the couch. He just carries him there. He's like, thanks, Golisopod. Charles Toad says, Iono actually has like 100 subscribers, but she thinks she's super famous everywhere around the world because her stans give her a lot of money. I really like the idea of Iono being super delusional, thinking she's the world's #1 streamer, when in reality nobody even knows who she is. I feel like the few fans she does have though are extremely loyal, which probably doesn't help because they're just feeding her ego. Darth Awesome says, it's silly, but I headcanon that a group of unknown together is called an alphabet. Like a swarm of bees or a flock of birds, it's an alphabet of unknown. We need more of these. I love them. Imagine seeing a ton of unknown coming your way and you're like, here comes an alphabet. Oh my God, you want to be horrified? Imagine they're spelling out a word as they're rushing towards you. It just says run, or like, don't be scared. Don't freak me out. Make a name for a group of Meryl. I need to know. Perceptor says, my headcanon is that all sync pairs in Pokemon Masters are just living together in a huge mansion and having fun together. That sounds like the most horrible place to live. You have a bunch of kids running around, leaders of criminal organizations, gym leaders doing their nonsense, champions, rivals. Oh my God, I feel like the mansion would be destroyed in a week. No, just no. There's gonna be some sort of shenanigans happening at all hours of the day. I just couldn't live there. Stephen Hummany says, Kofu watches football. American football, to be precise. Don't know why, but it just feels like he would. This one is so simple and straight to the point. There's no reason behind it, but I think it's great. I can imagine Kofu watching football when he's running his restaurant. Maybe it's like a bar. The Donut Kie says, some of my headcanons. This is more of an AU, but Chloe's a Pokemon researcher that researches the different gimmicks, like Megas, Z-moves, G-Maxes, etc. Like, why does Charizard have 2 Mega forms and a G-Max form? Like, what's the lore reason? Or why some people have Z-moves that only they can use, like Pikachu and Snorlax? 2. Ash has way more respect for Dawn and Chloe because they were the only two who showed up for the biggest battle of his life. 3. In Pokemon Masters, Ethan likes to talk about how he has 16 badges, and everyone's just kind of tired of it. And Ash doesn't want to make him feel worse by telling him he has like 80 gym badges. 4. Bonnie's favorite food is Uncrustables. There's not a valid reason. 5. The reason you can't change out of your school uniform in Scarlet and Violet is because of how big their school is. They have some control of the law, so any students must wear their uniform even outside of school. Everyone has tried to get the law removed. I think Chloe following in her father's footsteps being a Pokemon researcher makes a lot of sense. And I do like that her gimmick is, well, other gimmicks. I'm just happy to get anything Chloe related because they just brushed her off to the side for the entirety of Pokemon Journeys. Seriously, what the hell? I find it so weird that almost none of Ash's companions showed up to that battle. The only 2 were Dawn and Chloe. And Chloe might as well not even count because she was sort of traveling with Ash at the time, but also not really. Point is, she was usually around, but Dawn dropped everything just to be there for her friend. You would think if your longtime friend was finally about to achieve his goal of becoming a Pokemon master, you would do whatever it takes to physically be there. It's not even like this was a small tournament. He was going up against champions. Come on, I'd at least expect Serena or Brock to be there. Brock! That's his OG, his day one, his boy. They watched on TV, but still. I feel like if they actually showed up, that would have meant they had no doubts he was gonna achieve his dream. But the fact they stayed home is like, oh, well, he's probably gonna lose. Why even show up? Anyways, point is, Dawn is an absolute legend. Loved her dynamic with Ash, so hooray. I'm happy she showed up. And Chloe, you win this time, but only because of circumstance. Anyways, I think Ethan being super cocky about having 16 gym badges is funny. I love it, especially considering Ash has 80, but he's being super humble about it. And honestly, at first glance, you wouldn't expect Ash to have that many. He's kind of a dumb kid and goofs around a lot, so I think that only makes it funnier. I really love the Uncrustables Bonnie headcanon, and I can totally see it. Uncrustables are such a ripoff though. They're just sandwiches cut out like with a cup or something, but damn it, they're good. But to be fair, it's kind of hard to mess up PB&J. If my school was in charge of the law where I lived, I'm fleeing the region. Hell no. Especially with those horrible uniforms. Yuck. I hope they remove the law soon. The Tarek dude says, my headcanon is that all of the Scarlet and Violet crew have a clan in Clash of Clans, and Penny makes the strategies, while Nimona is really bad. The player's pretty good, and Arvin's decent. Their clan name is the Area Zero Travelers. The Scarlet and Violet crew playing Clash of Clans is really funny. I imagine they take like a little break from exploring, have a picnic, and attack in war, or just collect their elixir and gold or something. Nimona would 100% have no strategy despite her battle prowess. I feel like she just placed down troops anywhere all willy-nilly. Penny being the smartest makes sense. I feel like she'd always 3-star bases, and I can see Arvin just being average. He uses lava hounds. Shadow Dragon says, okay, one headcanon coming up. Crasher Wake and the Masked Royal have one of the most over-dramatic rivalries inside of the ring / Pokemon battles, but outside of them, they're just besties. I love this rivalry, and I need it to be a real thing. I can imagine they're hyping up their match for months, just to end it with a draw, or like maybe a third person interrupts their fight, and they both need to team up together. I feel like their fans would absolutely love that. I can also imagine after a match, they just go get a burger or something together, and someone spots the two of them hanging out, and they just give them an autograph and a photo. But Bendy Ranger says, another headcanon I have is that shortly before the events of Black and White, both Sharon and Bianca went to Blueberry Academy and graduated to where they are now in the sequels. I think Sharon and Bianca going to Blueberry Academy would be really cool for their characters. I still need to go myself, but I feel like they'd have learned a lot from their time there. Again, I have no idea what's there, so I can't comment, but I like the headcanon regardless. The Cucumber Guy says, my headcanon is Arvin's parents draw straws to see who stays with him. The losers depending on the version. This is really funny, but also really sad that they need to use straws to decide. Or Arvin. No matter who wins or loses the straw draw, things go badly for him anyway. At least he gets a cool little dragon dog motorcycle thingy. That's a plus, right? Panther S. Strappy says, I have a Gladion themed headcanon. That slash design on his hoodie isn't a design at all. It's a zip up pocket that he uses to store treats for type Null / Salt Valley. The bit at the bottom corner of the slash could even be his sort of zipper charm. Like he tries to act all tough and edgy, but he has a secret treat pocket where he stores treats for his giant science experiment dog. I think the idea of the slash being a pocket for snacks is cute. He's trying to hide his soft side behind some edge. Also, I love the phrase giant science experiment dog. It's perfect. And that's all the time we got for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe, leave your headcanons in the comments, and go watch the other headcanon videos. I'll catch you all later. Bye.